Hello guys, this is Paula and I am back. Let me see if I can move this slide a little bit. I just don't like that, it makes it dark. I am back with a brand new thing, okay? Just came up with it yesterday and I'm like, I'm going to share this with my subbies. So, I don't know if it's ever been done. I've never seen it. But it does hold 10 tags. Yes, 10 tags. Now, if you don't want it to hold 10 tags, you decide how many to put in there. But I just wanted to show you how you could put 10 in there. They're all different sizes, shapes, and I've done all the inking because it's a lot. And I've glued the music sheet to the fabric because we're going to glue them onto the tags and put a shape on the tags, but I didn't want to have to it's taken me forever to just do that. So I didn't want the video to have to be a two-parter because then you want to know what it's going to look like. So you get one piece of cardstock. That is, I believe it's 8.5 by 11. You know, the standard small ones that they sell at Michael's. And you're going to need 1.5 inch wide strip. Okay? Now this is going to be cut at a slant on your cutter. And I know you're listening to me and you're going, what? Because there's not a real easy way to measure this. Let me move some of this out of the way here. It's kind of a hard thing to measure, actually. So, I looked at this paper and I thought, I'm just going to cut it at a slant. But first, I came up with this because a few months ago, was just playing with paper. And I decided to just cut the tops like a stair step. So you could do it like that. You could do it like any shape on top. This is always the front bottom facing the right. It's on the right side, is right here. You always fold to the right and back to the left. And there you go. And you have to score or fold, however you want to do it. It's really not difficult. But when you start messing with angles, that's different, right? So, let me show you the one I initially did. It's all in this little bag. I initially did this one, and I'll show you how it all looks together, hopefully before the video's over. This ended up being a scrap from one that was bigger that I thought I wanted bigger. So this one's going to be a little bit smaller than what we're making. But this is going to be a pocket here, right here in the back. So you would only glue down the right side, or along the back lower side, and up the left side. Okay. So after you do all your trifolds, I don't know if you call it a trifold, but a right and left fold. I would call it a trifold, but you're going to have a pocket here, a pocket here, and then you're going to add that 1.5 inch. On this one, it's 1 inch right here in front. Okay? You're going to stitch it on when you do the outside stitching. Now, I realized after I did the outside stitching that I didn't stitch here or here. I stitched all the way around the little 1 inch pocket here, or 1.5 inch. And so I thought in the next one I have to do that correct. So I went ahead on the one we're going to do today. I went ahead and did this stitch, and this stitch, and the stitch across the top. The reason is because it's going to take a lot of time to do all of this, okay? So, ink everything that you want to ink. If the back is going to just be slipped into a pocket, you want to ink that. I think it'd be better glued so you can get the full 10 tags in there. So this is the one I made yesterday, and I'm going to show you quickly. I'm going to lay it on here, how it goes together. Okay, so you're going to have it laying down. You're going to make all your tags however you want. Now this is the one set. This is colorful. I think I toned it down for the one we're going to do. I was just using scraps and making things, and I came up with this. Okay, so you're going to take one of the bigger tags. Okay, it's one of those long tags that you get at Hobby Lobby. And I cut a little bit off. You want to cut it to whatever height your pocket, however low down your pocket goes. So you want it to be that tall. So this is going to go in the back pocket. Right here. Now the thing is, because it's not super wide, because it's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 3/4 inches width. So you know, these little tags are like 2 inches, I think. Yes, they're 2 inches wide. They're the long ones, so you can trim as you go to fit down in the pocket. Okay, so we're going to put this one on the right side. Okay, but you got to remember, when you glue around the sides of something to make a pocket, that glue always comes in and your pocket ends up smaller. So you're going to, you could just put one, okay, but I chose to put 2. Let me see if this is the right one. I think it is, because I had 2 different lengths, but that's okay. So I put the longer one on this side, okay, more toward the middle, and this one, which I ended up putting in behind that one, right here. I kind of put them in cozy, okay. And then I decided to take the next down size and put it in this pocket. And I put all the big ones on the left side. This, I think, is how I did most of these. Now, or you can pull it kind of to the middle so you can see both, okay? You just play with it till you get the look you want. And then this is the smallest store-bought tag. Okay, so it's going to go here, and I'm going to lean it to the side. Okay, so now we have 4 tags. But I have the Zig Zag mini tag die, and so here are all the small ones I made. Okay, so let's start with, any of them really will work. I don't even remember what order I had them in. That's okay. So let's just put this one right here. We'll put it up here. See? We're going to put it right in this pocket next to the one that says notes. Then we're going to take the one that looks like a tag here, and we're going to put it on one side, on the right hand side, in this 1.5 inch pocket. And then we'll take one of the others that is a ticket shape, put it on the left side in the 1 inch pocket. Kind of tilt them out, do them different directions that appeals to your eye. Now, we're going to have this one that's going to go up here next to this little tag in the second from the bottom slot. Okay, now I have this pretty wide for a mini tag. And these all have muslin under them. I didn't want to triple layer on these because, you know, it just kind of, don't want it to be any chunkier than you have to. Now, I haven't poked the hole in this one yet, but this one is a scallop tag. And here's, you can see the hole in the back here. I just haven't punched it through yet. But it's going to go, where do we want it? I just decided to kind of just stick it between a couple you know, or you can just put it right in the center and bring that one up a little bit. However you want to do it. Now you have a embellishment or a pocket. I think it's more like four pockets, okay? And then you put everything in it, arrange it like you want, decorate it. So this said notes. I'm going to give you another hint. I was cleaning out my craft room, putting up all my new shelves, organizing everything that is in that. For instance, if it's watercolor, all the watercolor stuff's together. If it's distressed ink, all the distressed inks together. And I tried to put things in a box with a lid, and then I labeled the box. The reason I did that is because I can never find things. When you just have everything out, you're digging and spending time looking for things all the time. I know I am. I forget I have things. And so this process took me about a week, okay? And everything was just covered in dust, and I'm allergic to dust, so I was like, I got to get this cleaned out of here. So my husband stepped in, put in all the shelves, and it was part of my Christmas. There was really only 3 shelves that he purchased. 2 of them were smaller, and one of them was kind of a medium. But now I have a lot of shelves that are working out great so far. I put everything I use in journal making straight behind me, so I can just roll across my mat, get what I need, bring it back to the table. I'm not up going 10 different directions for things to make journals. So that's just one little hint. Well, in the process of cleaning up my room, I ran into 2 old, one of them was a planner. Well, actually, both of them were planners, 2 old planners. One was a Heidi Swapp, which was real floral, pinks and maroons and just, you know, very girly. And then I ran into one that had all these colors. And they're bright colors. It's like yellow and blue and red and, you know, kind of a cream color, a lot of green. And so I was cutting the flowers from the side. I just took my tear tool. I'm going to show you how I did it. Took my tear tool and I just tore from the corner. And some of them are just the flowers from the corner. If I can get down to the bottom of this bag. And I just started this bag because I thought, you know, this is usable stuff. So see how this is here? The corners were like this. Here's another corner. So you could put these on corner tucks. You could do whatever. You can cut them however you want. Here's some of the pink Heidi Swapp. And then I tore the parts that were in strips. I tore like this, but I used my tear tool with all of those. Let me show you some more of the Heidi Swapp real quick, because I will be using the pink also. This has got a polka dot background with some of the florals, peach, and you name it. I don't think I put it in a different bag, but I think there's some in this bag. Here's some more. But just beautiful florals. And then, guys, that wasn't where it ended. Like, on this particular book, whoops, let me move it up. On this particular book, it had on some of the pages, it had floral around the word notes. And I thought, I'm gonna make that just like it is. I'm gonna tear all the way around it. So I did. And then later, I came back and decided to tear around anything like this. And also, the month and the year is on the others that look like this. So, and I just cover up the month and the year with some muslin or sari silk or whatever. Okay, and that's what these are. You can see there's dates and the word notes on here. See? Okay, now that was just on that particular journal. And then I did do it on the Heidi Swap one. I pulled it out of the trash and did it once I discovered that I could do that. Now, on the book that is the reds and blues, they had the word notes everywhere in that book. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to cut those out too. So I just pulled out a pair of scissors, and as you can see here, there's all kinds of words, all kinds of cutouts of the word notes. I don't know about you. I use the word notes and journal and inspire and some of those kind of words a lot. So that's what I ended up doing with that. So don't ever throw anything away without looking at it and knowing whether or not you can use it when you're collaging. Okay? Now, Gail's been doing a lot of collaging, and she's amazing at it. I'm not trying to do exactly what she's doing, but she wouldn't care if I was, because she's there to teach. But I'm trying to use up some of my scraps, and it's a great idea. I don't know who started doing it first, but Gail had mentioned someone's name, and I don't recall now. But you can go back and watch Gail's video and find out who that is if you'd like. But collaging's been around forever. I don't know about you, but I've collaged a lot in my life, and it is time consuming, but you can sit and do it while you're watching television, or if you just don't have anything else to work on, which is funny because there's always something to work on, right? So you can decorate, you can collage on anything. Bags, I'll show you those later. We'll do another video and I'll show you what I end up with and give you some ideas. But today is about the pocket that holds 10 tags. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the side and get it out of our way. I just wanted you to see what we were going to do and how we do it. So you take your 8.5 by 11 or 10, whatever it is, and you know what I mean. And I just laid it on here at an angle, okay? I wanted one end to be 6 inches, so I measured right here. Whoops, let me move up. The table's not quite with it. Okay, I measured here and got 6 inches. So I wanted to make sure I had 6 inches on this end. And then on the other end, I wanted to make sure I had 3 inches. So, however you measure it, whatever size you want it, you just want one side to be one amount and the other side to be half that amount. Okay? There's not a perfect science, a perfect measurement for this. I think every one I've made has been slightly different. As far as measurements go. This is how I did it. This is how I decided to do it from the beginning. And I just took, well, let me get a piece of paper and I'll just show you. This is copy paper, but I can show you with this. So I knew I wanted it to be at an angle. But I really didn't know how to measure doing this. You know what I mean? So, if you want it to be 6 inches, you put it at 6 inches, let's say. Then you take your pencil and you just kind of put a spot right here. Okay? Where you would cut. Or where 6 inches is, basically. And then, if you want to cut it at an angle this way, you want this part up here to be, let me see if I'm doing this right. Yeah, you want to mark it at 3 inches. Okay, now this is how I did it. It's not a perfect science. I can promise you. So I went back to my 6-inch side right here. And I thought, how am I going to do this? Because, you know, well, up here is my 3-inch mark from here to here. Down here is my 6-inch mark. So they're on the same side of the page, okay? So you're just going to put your 6-inch kind of at the cutting spot. We are going to angle this. We're going to angle out. And this is not going to be, let me see if this zooms out any. No, it zooms in, but that's as far out as it goes. Sorry, guys. So you're just going to put your marked part right here down to cut it as far as you can take it down. It's going to be at an angle again. Okay, and you just hold that in place. And then you pull this down until it reaches the 3-inch mark. Okay? And it's there now. Now, you're not going to try to cut straight with the mark. The mark is just there to let you know where 3 and 6 inches is. So you're going to lay your cutter down and just cut. You will get 2. See? You will get 2. So, the next thing we do, and let me get the one I marked. Let me get my chair. The next thing we're going to do is score. Now, you can score or you can just fold. Whatever you want. I'm going to put one of these away. Okay. I'm going to put this one away because we're going to use the measurements off of this one. And we're going to leave the cutter out to use as a scoring tool. Okay. Now, this is 3 inches. This is 6. That never changes unless you want it bigger or smaller. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over, and I've got the score lines on this side. So we're going to go from the big side. Okay, and you're going to put it in here. You're going to get your scoring tool. And you're going to get it all straight on your board here. And we are going to score. My desk is so full. Can't even get the paper out of the where it needs to be. Okay, so I have already marked the lines we're going to score at, but I'll tell you it's 3 5/8 from the 6-inch side. Okay, whoops, 3 5/8, 3.5 inches, right wherever, right in there, because you're going to end up cutting a little bit off of one end. All right, so here's where we score, and I don't know if you do this or not, but I use my cutter as a scoreboard sometimes, especially when it doesn't have to be perfect. So we've scored that. Let me hold it up and show you. It seems so shadowy in here to me. See? See if I can turn this slide over a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right. Trying not to have a glare. You know how that is. All right, so we're going to put it back in like we had it. And so we scored at 3 5/8. And so then we're going to pull it out, and we're going to score at 3 5/8 from our score point. Okay, here's where we scored. And we're going to measure 3 5/8 this way and score to the left. Okay. And you can put it at an even score amount, like 3.5 inches or 3 3/4. I would really, if I were doing it, I'd keep it at 3.5 inches or 3 5/8 to score each line. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to score 3 5. You want these two, the first 2 sections, you want them to be scored at the same amount as much as possible. Okay, because you're going to be overlapping them. All right, so you only score those 2 lines. Now I'm going to move my cutting machine, or not cutting machine, my whatever it is. It's a cutter is what I call it. Okay, so we're right here. You don't have to have your bone folder unless you want to. But remember, we're always going to go to the right and then back to the left and back to the right. So we're going to pick up the 3-inch side. We're going to go to the first score line. and we're going to score and try to keep it straight with the bottom. That does not always happen. That's okay. Just do the best you can. Like I said, this is not perfect. What I ended up doing is I would end up trimming off any excess as long as it wasn't a fold. Now, there's how it looks at this point. Now, right here is our fold. Our second score line, I mean. So we're going to go back left. Try to line it up with the bottom the best you can. Now you see that we have a little hangover here. It's just how it turns out every time I've made one. There's a little bit of a hangover. And I'm sure if you scored everything to start with, or not scored everything, but actually folded this in 3 even spaces this way and across here, it would come out closer. But I kind of worked off of just trimming this off. I didn't let it bother me at all. So I just flip it over so I can see the fold line and not cut into it, and just trim it. If you have a little hanging over, big deal. Just go back and trim it again. Now, what I did at this point was I trimmed anything when I was looking at the front that was hanging out. Like here, for instance, there's a little bit hangover here at the bottom. So you just hold it together and trim. Just like that. All right. There's a little bit right in here. So you just start wherever the hangover starts, but you got to finish it all the way to the end. Now, let me look here. That one looks perfect. I know that it isn't, but it looks pretty close. So that is the trifold part of it. I guess that's what I don't even know what to name it. Let's call it Zig Zag. Zig Zag Pocket. So that's the new name of this, is Zig Zag Pocket. Now, somewhere I have a little piece of paper that's already cut. Oh my word. Is that not how it works? I'm looking to see if it's under my board, but it's not. Oh, there it is. It just fell off my table. I think it must have been under my board. Okay, here it is. Now, we do have to cut this, the width of the zigzag. The width of the zigzag. Now, you want to get it on here. You could just bounce it down and just cut it on both sides. I more or less just kind of get it on there where it's flat on the table, flat on the bottom, and I just make sure everything's as lined up as possible, like that. So this is lined up on the bottom, it's lined up on one side. Hold on to this carefully, flip it over so it can't move, and trim the side of that pocket off. Now, if you turn it over and it still looks a little long, just trim it again. Just don't cut your fold lines. There you go. And so, the first thing you will do at this point, of course, you would ink everything, okay? And I'm going to pull one in that's inked that we can work from. But this is the basic design, okay? 3 inches, 6 inches, 3 5/8 to score here, 3 5/8 to score the middle one. Then you fold them, trim any excess. 1.5 inch tall pocket that just is across the front lower section. Your top is always going to be to the right. The point of the top is always going to be to the right. And then you just zigzag back and forth. So I'm going to set this aside because we're not going to ink tonight because it will take us forever. So now this one is a little bit smaller because it was one that I had already worked on. And I'm like, this is going to take me forever, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it. Now, this is what I suggest to you. Before or after you ink, you want to zigzag across the top of your pocket, not down the sides or on the bottom, just across the top. You have to do these separate, okay? So there's that. Now, you're going to open this out. But notice when I open it out, this center section is going to be on its back, okay? So you can't just stitch straight across this. So you stitch from the top peak down to that first score line, because this is the right side of this section. But now you want to make sure where the right side is of the second section. Well, we know it's not here because we zigzag it back, right? So you're going to stitch from here to here, not with them closed, like this, from here to here. And now this is the back of this section. So you flip it over, and you're going to stitch from here to here. I know that sounds complicated to do it that way, but when you don't, you can tell the difference in the stitches. I don't know. Here, I'll show you. Here's my first sample. If you look close, this one was so crooked because I didn't do it right. I guess it might have been the other one, but I don't have it on the table. But this is the one that was stitched wrong. If you look, you can tell. See, this is a nice stitch. This is a nice stitch. And then you got this all, the back of the stitch. Okay, we don't want it to look like that. So that's why I stitched them like that. I went ahead and stitched them ahead of time because I want us to be able to jump on and go forward. And I know you guys know how to stitch. Now, real quickly, see this stitch line on the lower pocket? We're going to line this all up. You're going to bounce it down, make sure it's all the way to the bottom. Make sure it's even on both sides. Now, we're going to start stitching this. And we're going to start on this bottom right side. And we're going to stitch across the bottom. And we're holding this pocket down the whole time because it's going to slide around if we don't. And then we're going to stitch all the way up the left side. Okay, and then we're going to tie off our string. Or you can start up here, which would be faster because you just do it in one swoop, which is what I'm going to do. You can use zigzag stitch, or you can use just a straight stitch. You know, I might try just doing a straight stitch, just to make it different. So I'll do a straight stitch from here down to this corner, across the bottom, and up the left-hand side, and then back stitch. So you want to back stitch when you start and back stitch when you finish. All right, now I don't have my sewing machine in camera, so we're just going to talk while I do this. Now, this is simple to do. You're just going to have it on your straight stitch, okay? And whatever size comes up, I lower it down one. For some reason, it's wanting to be like, let me see what the actual stitch should be. 2.5 is what mine is. And so I'm going to just stitch starting at the peak and stitch all the way around with a straight stitch. And another thing about doing a straight stitch around the outside like that, it does give you more pocket space. Here we go. Start off slow so you can back stitch. Make sure you don't flip any pockets up. And I'm not going super fast because I'm fixing to add that pocket down there. And I don't want it to be crooked, or once I know it's going to be straight, we can speed up. Okay, here we go. I'm not super picky on my stitches. I mean, I try to get them straight. I do pretty good, I guess, but sometimes if I'm just doing any other stitch besides the straight stitch, sometimes I can be a little wavy. Okay. One more little area. It's wanting to back stitch on me. Okay. Let me try this. Okay, now I'm going to go up the left side. When we get to the top, we're going to back stitch. All right, we're done. No more sewing. Okay, so here we go. You don't need to tie this off unless you're doing it as a zigzag stitch, because my zigzag stitches, I still haven't fixed it, you guys. I know that's crazy, but I really like the combination of zigzag and straight stitch. I don't know about you, but let me let you look here. I hope you guys can see that okay. When I film at night, it will put a glare on this table. And when I look into the camera or into the phone, it seems dark to me, but when I load the video, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so now we're going to decorate. The first thing we're going to decorate is this pocket right here. And let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. We're going to decorate this pocket right here. And I've already glued the music sheet to the black polka dot fabric. And I used my pinking shears around the fabric. I did a little different on each one, so not all of them will be the same. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because it's faster during videos for sure. And you're going to want to center this on here as soon as you get your glue on. Don't put too much to the edge because you don't want it seeping out. Okay? I say that, but I always get seepage. Don't ask me why. Okay, now you want to make sure your image is upright, which I had it upside down. And you really want to bring it as close to you as you can. I'm sorry if my head gets in the way, but you want, if you can show some of the pocket, that looks better. So I try to cut it just a little bit smaller so you can see the pocket. There we go. Now, I'm sharing on this project, and I think I have on some other things, some of my mom's old vintage buttons. My mom was a seamstress, and my mom made all our clothes. And before she had a sewing machine, she hand-stitched our clothes. She made quilts and made all of us kids a quilt before she passed, or before she got sick, really. But my mom, when she was so frugal, when she would if she was going to tear up another piece of clothing, like I'm going to say, for example, a dress or skirt, and it had buttons on it, she would cut the buttons off, but she would never pull, I'm going to show you this, she would never pull the thread out, the original thread. And I'll just show you a couple. Now this thread doesn't look like the cleanest thread in the world because it's been in there for a long, long time. My mom would be in her late 80s right now. So that tells you a lot as to how long she's been. She has tons of sisters and had 2 brothers. I mean, like tons of sisters, like a lot. And they were all taught to sew, and they made their own clothes. And my mom taught me how to sew when I was 11, and she enrolled me in Vodtech sewing class. So I made my first full thing on my own without my mom's help when I was in junior high. So anyway, so this thread being in here means a lot to me, because I know she set and stitched those buttons on or cut the buttons off. So I'm going to use a little bit of the buttons to put on. I just pulled out white, but I also pulled out this one really dark one. I'm going to get some, not washi tape. I started to say washi tape. Cheesecloth. I'm going to get some cheesecloth, and we're just going to put a little bit of cheesecloth under the button. Now, I think because we have this all over here, the, whatever that's called. I'm not into the whole music scene, but anyway, I'm going to pull out some cheesecloth. Not a lot, just a little bit under the button, just to kind of give it a base. I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of glue on there, not a lot, because I don't want it to bleed through. And then I'm going to put my button on. But first, I'm going to trim around my cheesecloth. And it doesn't have to be perfect or any direction particularly. My scissors are acting like they're dull, but they're not. It must be that I'm trying to cut it with the tip. Let's start on this side. That's much better. I had to take these in the other day. I know you can use alcohol to clean your scissors and get some of the sticky off. I couldn't find my alcohol. So I just used Glue Be Gone. Worked perfect, and then just wiped them off with a damp cloth. But they were super sticky. Okay, so there we go. We have this here, and I'm just going to kind of fold it over and make it taller and thicker. There we go. I just kind of like pile it on top itself. And then you're going to put some glue on the back of your button. I think I'll get that off first. Now it's hard to tell looking at these buttons where the front is versus the back. Unless you see the more bulky side is going to be your back. The side that has all the knots tied in it. Okay, and then we're going to put it right in the center of the cheesecloth. Now I'm going to hold this up and let you see it. Tell me what you think on your comments. See the cheesecloth there? That was my mama's button. When I mess with her sewing stuff, I mean, this is the first time I've used any of her buttons. So, but anytime I get in her sewing box to look for maybe like a thimble or something I don't use regularly, or if I need a zipper, my mom has a bunch of zippers in her sewing basket because she would take the zippers out just like she would take the buttons off, because she was raised with so many sisters. She was very frugal. Okay, so, and she was that way with us, you know, even after when we were born and stuff. So this I'm going to set aside because we're going to work on the tags. As soon as we get all the tags done, we'll collect them into the pockets. Now, I probably won't put a button on every single one. I just dug buttons out. Now, I have several pockets prepped and ready over here. And I hope that it's not boring, that it's just music sheets and black fabric, but I just wanted to do something different. This one is already a tag shape, so we don't have to do anything with this. This one is as well. This one is just straight, and I don't like that as well. So we're going to use my tag punch to shape the tops. And it's already got a hole in it, so we don't have to worry with that. There we go. You take it, and then you flip it over and do the other side. And this is what you end up with. Like it way better than just leaving it. And so then I take my ink tool and just kind of throw some ink on there. Okay? That's one of them. And this is going to be let's just go ahead and decorate this one while we're here. We've already got everything kind of pre-done, so as far as the fabric and the music sheet, because that took me forever, you guys. Seriously, it took me an hour or more, longer than an hour. And it's just, I made the other ones yesterday just to see how it would turn out and if I would think it was something worth teaching on my channel. And I thought it was. Now, you can put string here. You can put a button, which I love buttons. So let's put a button on that one. But if you do a button, you have to punch, let me see if I have any. Let's just punch a little bit of music. Okay? You have to use your hole punch. Not your hole punch, but your circle punch. I'll get it right in a minute, guys. And you got to make a circle to put on the back. So I usually try to do a section of the paper that's not as exciting so I can save the good stuff. And as far down as I can. You can cut it even smaller than this if you'd like. But I just do it this size because that's my common circle punch I use the most often. I think a lot of you do because I've seen you guys use them before. Okay, or at least the other YouTubers. Now I'm going to put this on the back, the very back of the tag, in the center and right side up. Now you're saying, why are you doing that? Well, if you don't, you'll have glue go through to your table and stick to everything. So this gives it an anchor to put your button. And I'm going to use, let me find which button I want to use. Let's use this one. It looks old school. That's what my grandson would say, old school. That's what he told me for Christmas. He wanted stuff that was old school. Anything old school. Why? It's funny to me that every generation wants to do whatever a couple generations did. Now, you don't need to put a button on every one. You can just leave them empty. But you can also put, I'll show you, I'll do one of those too, if I have any handy. You can also put snaps. Do you remember snaps? I know you've seen me do it before in videos. Clean up any glue, and here you go. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Let me look in my drawer here and see if I have any snaps. I do. And guess what? I have some black ones. So we'll do one with silver and one with black. Okay, so these snaps came out of my mom's basket too. Let's see. Let's do another big one so we can get all the big ones finished. We may have to change the height of some of them. So I'm going to cut this one a different shape so that it looks like it goes with, or it's not identical to the one it stands next to. You just flip it over. Okay. Now you want to hit it with some ink. There we go. Now we're just going to slap some glue on the back of this that's already layered. And I don't know about you, but I'm so glad we're not doing Christmas right now. I'm going to finish my Christmas journal, or daily, but we're not doing it together. I'm going to put some pictures in the back of it and finish my journaling, and then I'm going to do a flip through so you guys can. Let me move this down. This one's going to get a silver, and the reason why, oh no, the silver is pretty big. I can put a smaller, I'm going to put a smaller, look, it was $1, and it looks like it was on a clearance. I think we'll put one of these little mediums on there. So you take the back. Now you can do this. So let's see how it works. You can put the snap portion through. I know it's hard to see that, isn't it? Let's do this. you can put the snap portion, if you don't want to cut a circle, you could put that snap portion here through your hole and snap it down. Now let's see if it wobbles back and forth. It will if you mess with it, but it seems to be staying pretty good. What do you think? I love using stamps. I don't know, our snaps. I don't know about you, but I just think it adds a different look, and I like it a lot. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one, these two. Get them glued on. Now on this one, we don't have to put anything because it has a little hole on it already, hole cover. So I just used this little tiny thin piece of my pinking shears. It was like a little piece I cut off of fabric to get it the right size. I just decided to keep it and run it across instead of putting it behind. I don't know why this little tag is kind of curling down. I guess they get kind of wonky after they've been tea stained. So I'm going to hold the sides there just a little bit. Now, you don't have to do this, but because I want to do it, I'm going to take, guess what I'm taking? You guys know what I'm taking. Same thing I always do. I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to take my bigger tip. I'm not doodling, not really. I'm just coloring this little. Now when you get around the edge, you want to be careful because you can go off of it. This little hole punch cover is just, it looks worn out, so I'm going to give it some life. And it is super easy to go off, I'll just tell you right now, because I've done it a few times. And it's not always going to be a perfect circle, and that's okay too. But I'm sticking with the white and the black, kind of a beigey color. Or vintage photo, I guess I should say. Now, this side right over here is not fit. It's not close enough. That's when you usually mess up, is when you go back seconds. A second time. So I can see inside this button. I can see the manila look. Ah, there we go. First boo-boo. I'll fix that later. I'm going to go ahead and do the back because I want it to be cohesive. Okay. When you're on the inside part of it, you can go ahead and go faster, but when you get toward that outside, be careful. I hope you guys are getting ready for a big New Year's Eve party or something, or plans to go to dinner. You know it's going to be busy out wherever. Okay, there we go. It's not perfect, and for some reason it bled off. But that's all right. It is a junk journal, right? Okay, so that one's finished. And I can't find the lid to my marker. Where did that crazy thing go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, this small one, we'll do it next. This little small one. I just put some fabric across the music sheet. And I'm just going to put it down. Really, very simple. I tried to do them all slightly different. Some of them I didn't put zigzag behind. I might have put zigzag on them. Okay, there we go. Now this one's not going to have anything in the hole. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, we'll set that aside. All right, all of those on that side are done. I'm telling you, 10 tags. Let me see if you can see better with or without it. Let's go without it. This is another one of those small little tags that you can get at the store. This one I just kind of hung the square over the pinking shears cut of the fabric, and then I put the square on just barely down from it, and I put a piece of that little trim I had zigzag. Looks like zigzag or rickrack, and then I just went ahead and used my pinking shears on the bottom of the square just to make it different. Now you could, I think we'll put a button on this one, and this will be the last one we put a button on. That way we can kind of make them different, you know. Let's see. I think I still want the button up here. Let's see which grungy one we can come up with. Look at the back of that. Can you see the back of that? That has to be cut because it won't lay flat. Let's just cut this off. But you got to be careful too, because you can cut too much off. But if you get it glued down, whoa, I don't know where that went. Okay. So if you get it glued down, look how dirty that string is. It's because it's been in an old box for forever. Okay, so now we have to cut the little circle out for the back. But I have a smaller, look at this. This is a cool, I don't know who this is by, EK Success. But you can get them out Hobby Lobby. Okay, so we're going to cut a smaller circle. That's just going to cover that area. Got to be careful. This thing slides around. The thing I like about this punch is you can do multiples, and you know, you can just gather them and put them in a into your junk, you know, your scraps and stuff, and then you have them for other things. Okay, so now we're going to glue this one on the back. Okay. Now we have something to adhere our button to. Our dirty little button. Okay. So it's super cold in Tulsa today. Oh my goodness. I went out and it was 30 degrees, which to me is super cold because we haven't had a lot of cold this year. And there you go. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because we're already at 58 minutes. We have to go fast. We may not be able to add any more buttons or anything like that for now. But this will go in a book. I don't know which book yet. I will tell you, I know I'm going to do my design team project also. And then I do have a book that I'm going to use where I'm going to use some of Mrs. Cogg's, Elizabeth Smith's items. And all these little ones are just going to be glued on, okay? These are from the mini Sizzix dies, the minty tags. Okay. Okay, just scoot it to the side when it's done. I just glued the fabric over the circle of the music sheet. And then I'm just gluing on the back of that circle. A little bit on the fabric so it doesn't get caught on things. And we have this little scallop circle with a hole in it. I'm going to re-hole punch that later. I'm going to center this for now. Or as best I can, I'll put it that way. Gonna have to hold it up to center it. Okay, now, we're down to 2. Let's do this little one first. Get it on its way. Super quiet in here. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. My husband's in the other room. He was putting clean sheets. I told him, I said, I like having you around. He's been doing all kinds of stuff. He's been doing the laundry. But a lot of it is because of my eye procedure. And I know you've noticed that I haven't been here the last few days. And I had an eye procedure done on December 20th because my oil glands in my eyes were plugging. And I have really bad dry eye. And anyway, I went in for that, had that procedure done, which is just like massaging your eyes with heat. And then he gave me, you know, several kinds of eye drops to use. And so I did. And day before yesterday, in the evening, I was having a hard time seeing because my eyes got so blurry that I couldn't make out images. It kind of scared me a little bit. But I thought, let me put some drops in and see if it does better. And it did. About 45 minutes later, I could even see through my glasses. I couldn't even see through my glasses, guys. And I thought, what did they do to me? You know how your first thought is that it's the procedure. Well, it's not. It's something, I don't want to say worse. But it had nothing to do with the procedure. I started seeing, also my eyes were blurring, but I also started seeing what's called floaters. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. It's black spots and black string looking stuff that your eye can see. And when you turn to look at whatever comes across the front, when you turn to look at it to the side or whatever, it's like it takes off and runs away. I know that sounds weird, but that's exactly how I described it. Well, I didn't call them that night. I did heat therapy on my eyes. You know, they gave me stuff to do that. And then I went to sleep. Everything was fine after they cleared up. Then the next day around noon, they started doing it again. So I put drops in. And then I told my husband at about 4:15, I said, I don't know, today's Friday, maybe I should call them. So I did. They said, get straight in here. And I'm like, oh, what is that all about? So I get in there, they dilate my eyes, or they numb my eyes, and then they dilate them. And yes, they got dilated twice because the first time they wouldn't dilate well enough. So I was numb and I was dilated. And I was dilated twice as long as you normally would be because there was a lot of meds in there. Anyway, this one, I just got glue everywhere. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so I'm going to get to my point because we got to get busy. Which one? Let's just do one of these because I don't like the square top. So I went, I threw on some clothes. My husband drove me over there because my eyes just felt too blurry to drive. And I didn't know what they were going to do. And so I got in there. They took me straight back. A girl comes straight in, gets my eyes dilated, numbed and dilated, and is asking me tons of questions, you know. And so after that, the doctor comes in. And you can tell he has concern in his eyes. He told me, he examined my eyes, you guys. I've never had an examination of my eyes like that. He looked at every part outside and inside of my eye. and that's why he wanted to dilate it. He had some kind of tool. I don't know what it was. I could feel pressure, but I didn't feel pain. And he went down and looked around the outside, had me looking left and right and up and down. And so, as it turns out, I do have floaters. And now, looking back on it, I feel like I've had them for some time. I just thought maybe it was a med or something. Maybe I was having a reaction to a medication or whatever. I'm going to put one of these large snaps on there. Anyway, so it's not a good thing to have floaters. If you see black spots or black stringy looking stuff, you get straight to your doctor. You just call them and tell them that you've started having floaters and you're worried. The inside of your eyeball is made up of like a gel. Or Jello or something, you know, that a more thickness substance. And that is in there in order to keep your eyeball in a circle, in a shape of a circle. As you get older, or if there's lots of other ways or reasons that this can happen. The gel thins and becomes liquid. Well, the floaters are part of what are little clumps of the gel that haven't absorbed into the liquid yet. That's called floaters. So when the floaters pass across your retina, you can see the floater and it comes out as a black spot. And some people have them so bad that they're everywhere. Mine are random. Like I was sitting here yesterday and I saw some, it looked like it was crawling, you know, like maybe I was seeing a spider. And I turned to look at what I thought was a spider, and then it jumped away out of my peripheral vision. And so basically I have floaters. Now he told me not to lift anything. I have to see him back in 4 weeks. He said, this is serious, that, you know, when you get this, you got to be very aware of it and take care of yourself. But he said that it is, people do lose their sight because of this. But my retina is not torn away from my eyeball. It's still attached, and so that's good. It doesn't have a tear in it. It's not detached from my eyeball. And in order to keep that like that, I can't lift anything. He said, I don't want you to lift anything. I was like, great. And so now I've been kind of paranoid to pick up anything. I'll say, honey, I can't pick that little box of scraps up. He said, I don't want you to. Anyway, I said that to tell you why I wasn't, here we go, I wasn't on video the last couple days. All right, let's put the white one behind the black one. How's that? Because they're slightly different, and one has a button and one has a snap. How cute is that, you guys? I'm not bragging on myself, but I like it. Okay, so let's put this one. Trying to remember which one went where. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to put that one right there, and I'm going to cut this a little shorter so it fits in. No, wait a minute. I don't want that shape next to those shapes. And I don't want a snap or a button next to each other. You just kind of have to look at it. I look at all the different design elements of it, you know, because I like it to be different, but yet decorated the same. Okay, so I put that tag there, and I'm going to grab one of these other little tags. Let's do this one. He's cute. He looks like an old-fashioned tag. Putting him right there, and I think I made an extra one. I think that's what I did. I did. And this one goes here. That's okay. We'll use him on another one. And so here, I'm putting this one. Okay. And down below, no, that's not right. I did have this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I just cut it shorter is what I did. So, I'm sorry this video is so long, guys. That's just how it is sometimes. I'm going to cut this down to about 4 1/4. So that's cutting off quite a bit. But I want it to fit into one of the smaller pockets. Slap some ink on here. Plus I have a snap on it and I want to use it. Okay, so we're going to pull this smallest one down. And we're going to put the snap one right here. Yeah, see, that worked out perfect. Although I'm going to change that one because they're kind of shaped alike. Let's put this little guy in here. All right. Now, this little one's going to go down in this pocket. Okay. And I'm going to do this one. And you just kind of fill them in. You know, they don't have to be any particular place or in any particular order. Just kind of fill them in. And then I just kind of plopped the little circle one down in front, like she's the star. Now, kind of have to lift your pocket up if you have a little end of it that's kind of snagging. I'm going to pull this one up in the back a little bit. Got it down too far. But I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about. And there it is. So you go down this, both sides, along the bottom, into a page or into a cover, and you have what's called a zigzag pocket, and you have 10 tags. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had fun doing something different. I plan on doing some collage videos because I think everybody's collaging is different. And I may do that next because I do have company right now. My sister is here visiting and she just happened to go to her brother-in-law's for Christmas celebration tonight. And I just took the chance to get to do a video. So I hope you had fun. I hope you'll try the Zig Zag Pocket with 10 tags and snaps and buttons and all the different elements. Make it your own. Use zigzag and straight stitch. And I will see you next time. If you haven't subscribed, this is just one of the fun things that we do on my channel. And, yeah. So, if I don't see you back on a video, if you don't come back on a video, Happy New Year. But I'll be back before then. So, talk to you later, guys. Bye.